On today's program, we're going to talk about GBAC STAR Facility Accreditation and what it can do for your organization. We're doing that by spotlighting one of our accredited facilities. And to do that, I welcome Angela Dominczyk. She's the Process and Compliance Coordinator with Terminal Operations at Wayne County Airport Authority. Hello, Angela.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for having me today.
It's a pleasure to have you on our program. Wayne County Airport Authority, Detroit, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Just in case some might not know where that is. I've been there many times myself. Fantastic airport, very enjoyable, nice and clean. So my first question, Angela, is just how easy is it to keep an airport clean and maintained?
Well, it's not easy, Jeff. It can be very challenging at times with the volume of traffic that goes in and out of DTW on a daily and annual basis. It can be very challenging. That's why it's very important that, our janitorial staff pay attention to those flight displays and the arrival times and departure times that those flights are coming in and out, so we can get in and out of those hold rooms and restrooms and get them as clean as possible.
Yeah, I never thought about that the cleaning crew needs to look at what's happening. I just figured they were always there, always busy, but they have a plan, strategic.
Absolutely. That's part of their daily scheduling. Those flight displays offer a lot of information and help aid in the daily scheduling.
Okay. Well, let's get into the details about your facility, the airport. Talk about the size of it, occupancy, all of that.
Well, so DTW, we have the two terminals on campus, the Edward H. McNamara Terminal and the Evans Terminal, the Warren C. Evans Terminal, just recently renamed. In regards to how big the facilities are, the McNamara Terminal is our biggest terminal facility on campus. In terms of its size, I more tend to look at the public space because that's what we're dealing with when we look at the cleanliness. And so when we look at the McNamara Terminal, we are looking at approximately 950,000 square feet of public space that is utilized by the public. And in regards to the Evans Terminal, that's about half of that. We're looking at approximately 400,000 square foot of space, public space that is. So there's a big difference between those two terminals.
Yeah, big airport. I know I've walked it a few times, one end to the other. You have a tram as well, I believe, a train inside?
Yes, the tram actually sits on top of Concourse A, which Concourse A is about a mile long end to end. And so that tram is actually capable of transporting, I believe it's about 4,000 passengers per hour per direction.
Wow. I've never been on it. I've always just walked it, but I've seen it. Very cool. Well, Angela, let's talk about what you've done to make your airport cleaner, healthier with GBAC STAR accreditation. Why did your facility decide to invest in that?
Well, Jeff, it's really simple. We wanted our passengers and our employees to know that DTW is doing more to keep them healthy and safe.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the tangible improvements or changes you made because of the accreditation process?
Yeah, so, and that's what those programs are all about. And, we did identify some gaps. One of the, I think, most notable gap that we identified and corrected was we noticed there was a difference in our biohazard waste removal program at the Evans Terminal versus the McNamara Terminal. The program was a little more solid at the McNamara Terminal. So therefore, we worked with our janitorial service provider at the Evans Terminal to enter into a new contract with a new service provider, and that seems to be going well.
So real changes resulted.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Another gap that comes to mind is we identified, as part of the GBAC process, they reviewed the training materials. And so inside those training packets, we identified some old SOPs, standard operating procedures that were being used when training new hires. And we knew that there were current SOPs out there, and so we worked with them to get that corrected as well.
Okay. Well, it's good to hear that it made a difference, the GBAC STAR Facility Accreditation for your facility. Let's talk about the 20 elements, because I've looked at those myself. I've reviewed them. As you looked at those 20 elements, were there any that stood out as especially challenging for you?
Overall, I didn't, none of them stood out specifically challenging. I think overall the learning the processes and protocols at our McNamara terminal, and I say that because terminal operations, we are responsible for managing the janitorial service provider for the public spaces at the Evans terminal. We are not responsible for the direct management of the janitorial service provider at the McNamara terminal. So we had to work with individuals that we've never worked with before. We had to gather documents and understand their processes and protocols. And so it was a learning process for us. Even though we're here every day, we had to learn more about the McNamara terminal.
Anytime you can improve what you do or learn more about what you do, that helps for sure. So thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Let's talk about the pandemic. As we look at where we're at now, everyone feels like we're coming out of it. Masks are no longer required. You have the accreditation. How will this benefit you as we go back to what we call normal?
Well, there's always been the focus on the cleaning and disinfection since the beginning of the pandemic. And one of the things I really feel like the GBAC STAR helped us dial in on was the health and safety of our employees and our passengers. And that was through the proper use and disposal of PPE and our biohazard response and cleanup protocols. And so, even though we have two different service providers, one at each terminal, at the end of the day, we really learned that our processes and our protocols were very similar. And so now we have all of that on file and it's documented in one area, and that's thanks to the GBAC STAR.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. My final question, Angela, is in your networking. You're talking to others who have positions like yourself, other airports or facilities. If they were to ask you about GBAC STAR Facility Accreditation, what would you tell them?
Absolutely. It's always a good feeling when you are well prepared, and the GBAC STAR will help you get there.